Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Change Bringers and to Change Bringers Live. Today, we're reflecting a little bit about how each of us can be the change and can bring change in our communities, in our churches, and in our world. Today on Change Bringers, it'll be me. I'm Tim Baker, the Churches and Volunteers Manager at All We Can, and I'll be joined by my colleague from the Churches team, Matt Forsyth. And as we work through the next few minutes, what we really want to do is just share with you some of the really exciting harvest resources that we've got prepared for you this year. We've got some amazing resources that explore the incredible community of Butagaya in Uganda. And as we learn more about that community, we'll see how for them change begins with a bike. And the real important part of today is that we're live. And so those of you who are joining us live, we really want you to engage with us and to engage with us in the comments. As you're watching along on YouTube, you should be able to access the live chat, where you can see already that me and Matt have both put things in that chat and greeted you all this morning. And so if you're able to find that, it'll depend on which device you're using, but you should be able to see a function called live chat. Do just let us know. Let us know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, what your experience of All We Can so far is, and perhaps particularly if you've already got a plan for how you might make use of these resources. Perhaps you've already come across our Change Begins with a Bicycle resources. If you've been tuning into some of our other broadcasts over the last few weeks and months, you may well have heard about them already. Perhaps you've already downloaded or ordered yours, in which case you're ahead of the game. And we want to hear a little bit more about what it is that you're planning on using them for and how they're going to be useful to you and your communities and churches. So do make use of that chat function. Do ask us questions. Do ask us to clarify anything. If you think we've missed it, do let us know. If things are kind of not going to plan, or if you need anything additional kind of information about anything that we've said or want to say. So I hope that the next few minutes, sort of 40 minutes or so, is roughly what we're aiming for. But both Matt and I are preachers, and so liable to go slightly over the time we've been allocated. But what we'll endeavour to do this morning is to share with you in that time some of what All We Can's doing around the world. And as part of that, we're really conscious that lots of us are meeting online. And lots of us are trying to do church in a way that we've never done it before. Perhaps we're part online and part offline. Perhaps we're purely online and we're looking at a way to reopen our building. Perhaps we've just managed to reopen our building and we're not quite sure how long we'll be able to keep it open for. And so as part of today, we really want to also spend a bit of time thinking a little bit about online church. And we'll hear from a gentleman called Ali Johnson, who may be known to some of you, who's something of an expert in terms of all things digital and church. And we'll have a little bit of a conversation about how we can keep getting better at doing some of those online church things. Hello to lots of you joining us. Nice to have you with us, Tim and Angela, joining us from Chester. Thanks very much for tuning in and letting us know where you're joining us from. One of our partner churches there, Wesley, the Wesley Centre in Chester. So thank you for joining us from there. And Patrick Stonehew is here, a regular All We Can tuner-inner, if that's a thing. Hello, Patrick, and glad that you've got a sunny autumn morning there in Bristol. It's much more dank and drizzly in West Yorkshire today, but really nice to have you all with us. As you join in from around the country and indeed the world, do keep letting us know in the comments where you're coming from, and how we can keep making this a really useful time for you wherever you are. Pleased, as I mentioned earlier, to have with me today Matt Forsyth. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Tim. You well?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Have you got sunshine like Bristol or rainy drizzle like West Yorkshire?
You've got sunshine like Bristol. The sun is shining. I had to do the blinds a little bit because you won't be able to see my face, which might be actually what you prefer. I don't know. But it's lovely and sunny here today. So it seems to be every time we do a Change Bringer session, Tim, the sun does shine and it's warm. Am I right? Because the last time we did it, it was really hot. So I'm kind of glad that each time we do these sessions, it's a nice sunny day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly not warm here today, as you can perhaps tell by the slightly grey light that I've got projecting onto my face. Yours looks much more cheerful. And Colin's joining us as well. Hello, yes, Colin. It must be a cross Yorkshire problem, this dull and dismal morning. But good to have you with us, Colin. We'll hope to brighten the dismal as we spend some time together. Matt, before we kind of kick into the story of Uganda, are you going to lead us in some opening devotions?
Yes, I will certainly. And I'm excited to be with you all today. As Tim said, I'm part of the church's team here at All We Can, churches and volunteers officer. So that means I get the opportunity and actually the privilege to share the All We Can story and to share as a part of what God's doing as a part of the All We Can movement. And so we wanted to ground today in the sort of 45 minutes we're going to be sharing online today with just a word from the living word, God's Bible. And so I encourage you, if you've got your Bibles near you, grab them. If you haven't, switch them on, or just sit and listen to these first two verses from Psalm 57. And before I begin, may us be reminded of the words from Wesley: best of all, God is with us. And Psalm 57, it says this: have mercy on me, O God, have mercy. I look to you for protection. I will hide beneath the shadow of your wings until the danger passes by. I cry out to God Most High, to God who will fulfill his purpose for me. Throughout the period of lockdown, I have to be honest, these two verses have been part of kind of the foundation of part of my journey with God, really, my relationship with God in the last few months, these two verses. And I wanted to share them because actually I think they're incredibly impactful when we reflect on how best of all, God is with us. Best of all, God is with us in this season that we are currently still finding ourselves in and will do for some time. But actually there is an invitation, isn't there, today? God offers his shadow of his wings. I remember there was a moment not too long ago, a few months ago, when me and my wife we went out for a walk with my children. As we went out for a walk, we looked up to the skies like every British person does when they consider the weather, and it looked fine. It looked like it was going to be just okay. And then did what a lot of people now do, is turn to their phones and looked at the weather app. And again, it looked like it was going to be absolutely fine. Then as we went out for our walk, about maybe 2/3 of the way in, the clouds started to come over. And all of a sudden, the rain started to completely hammer it down. And I remember just picking up my youngest daughter at the time and just running home, covering her, trying to protect her from the rain, trying to wrap my arms as close as I could around her to try to stop as much rain as possible getting to her. I remembered that moment, and actually as I reflected on Psalm 57 of that promise from God today, of actually when that storm comes, when that season comes, which for many of us probably feels like right now in these times, actually we have some good news. The good news is that we have a God that actually offers us a refuge, offers us some strength today. And the best of all, God is with us. And that's amazing news. Why? Because actually that means we can hide beneath the shadow of his wings today until the season passes by, until the danger passes by. And lastly, best of all, is that actually as we cry out to God today, that actually to God who will fulfill his purpose for me. The All We Can movement is rooted in wanting to see people's potential fulfilled. That's what you're going to hear a lot about when it comes to our work in Uganda and Butagaya, through our local partner Fabio. We want to see people's potential fulfilled. But actually also we want to see your potential fulfilled as well, listening here and watching today. As we cry out to God in this season that we're in, as he's present with us by his Spirit, wherever we are today, he is working his purpose for us, working out his plan, working out his promises of assurance to us today. So best of all, God is with us this morning as we gather. Best of all, God is with us, and we can be assured as we hide beneath the shadow of his wings and seek refuge today and seek protection today. So with that, best of all, God is with us. Over to our president of the Methodist Church of Conference, Richard Teal, to lead us in a time of prayer. Over to you, Richard.
So let us say a prayer together. Best of all is, God is with us. God of justice, who came in Christ Jesus and created all people equal. Stir the hearts of your world to seek justice and equality for the whole of humanity. May the campaign by All We Can, Change Begins with a Bike, bring better living standards, new creative opportunities, and encourage people's aspirations in the communities of Uganda and beyond to become a reality for your kingdom's sake. Amen.
I don't know whether you like riding your bike. I don't ride mine very often. Mark and I have both got bikes and they're called Ben and Jerry. So that's what I'm really wanting when I've been out for a bike ride at the end of it as a treat. When I was little, I used to ride my bike all the time and ride it to school and everywhere. But nowadays, I hardly ever use my bike. But in some places, bikes are really, really vital. They're really important. And in Uganda, bikes can make a real difference in people's lives because they enable people to get around, to children to go to school. They're used for transport, to collect water, all kinds of different things that bikes can be useful for. And so the All We Can campaign, Change Begins with a Bike, is a really important one this year. And it really encourages people to give regularly so that people can have bikes in places like Uganda. And I've been to Uganda and I've seen the difference a bike can make to people's lives in a place where they have to often walk long distances to collect things or to travel to school. So change begins with a bike. So get on your bike and make a difference with All We Can this year.
Well, I bought this bike last September when I arrived back in circuit ministry in the Driffield Hornsey circuit, and I do all my visiting in the town of Driffield on it. But every morning since lockdown for the last 3 months at 6 o'clock, 7 days a week, I've gone for a 9.5 mile bike ride. I thought I must lose weight before I become president of the conference, and I need to be really fit. So I've done 9.5 miles every day for 12 weeks, and I haven't lost an ounce. But the good news is that I do feel better for that bike ride every morning, and it seems to clear my mind. And on the bike ride here in this lovely part of East Yorkshire in the morning, I see deer, I see hares, I see owls. I've seen farmers sowing seed and watching the crops grow. I've seen farmers and their workers planting acres upon acres of brassica plants, and I've seen them growing and developing and now nearly ready for harvest. I see virtually the same people every morning, and we acknowledge each other, creating a kind of community. And when I get back home at the end of that bike ride, I just feel really set up for the day. So riding the bike's been a really great thing for me, and I'm so pleased that I bought it. Now, as you watch these films by All We Can, called Change Begins with a Bike, you will see very, very simply and yet hugely powerfully how people's lives can be totally transformed personally and corporately. They're stunning films, and please support this wonderful new campaign.
ebizibu bye tubitamu mu family eno.
Our biggest challenge is we take care of my elderly mother and 7 grandchildren. It costs a lot and our income is very small.
I really want to go to school, but it's a long way and I have a lot of chores to do first.
Life has been very hard because I'm disabled. I'm struggling to support my family.
It's not what I want to do, but I have to make bricks to help my family.
For families like these, change begins with a bike. Change begins with your regular support. For Moses' son Ariel, having a bike means freedom.
Now I can get to school and not make bricks all the time.
For Moses, it means now he can earn some money.
My bicycle repair business will grow and I'll be able to feed my family.
For Florence and David's extended family, it means an additional income.
The bike makes it easier for our grandson Andrew to sell his fish at market and get to school.
And for Nawalat, it means the future she's always dreamed of.
I use my bike to get to school so I can be a nurse one day.
Change begins with a bike. Begin this journey as a regular giver. See the cycle of poverty broken for £6 a month.
So we've seen a little bit there of how change is beginning. Change is beginning with a bicycle in Uganda. Change is beginning for families like Nawalat's and families like Moses and Arias and families like David and Florence's extended family. Change is beginning. And in many ways, that's what we want to focus on and invite you into today, is the beginning of some change that's happening around the world. We all have a part to play in seeing change begin to happen in some of the world's poorest communities. This has in many ways been a year of change, hasn't it? It's been a year in which we've dealt with the fact that much is not as it once was. We've all had to do things differently, not least the fact that these sessions, or the equivalents of these sessions in previous years before previous harvests, we've gathered together in church halls, we've shared some sandwiches and some pork pies, and we've had the chance just to meet together and to chat about the things that are going to happen in our churches this harvest season. And obviously this year we don't have the luxury of doing that, and so we do want to make the most of this time together. And so encourage you again just to keep sending us little messages in the chat function. If you want to write us a longer email or longer message about this, then towards the end Matt and I will make sure we just share our or we can email addresses with you all in the chat function, so that if you want to write a longer message about what you're planning and don't feel the little short live chat is enough, then we'd always still really love to hear from you. So we'll do that towards the end of the session today. But we've heard those little glimpses of those stories, and thank you Matt and Richard and Carolyn for all kind of inviting us into this story of change. But I had the huge privilege of being there in Butagaya in November of last year, before we'd heard of coronavirus and before international travel became very difficult. It was a huge privilege to be able to spend time with those self-same families who you just met in that video, and met them and met some amazing people, just loads and loads of incredible people living in a really poor part of Uganda, in a really rural part of Uganda, where just kind of day-to-day life is a bit of a challenge, and just getting by takes up a lot of people's energy and resources. And yet here were people who were dreaming of a better future. Here were people who lived out All We Can's vision statement, see every person's potential fulfilled. I hope you caught a little glimpse of that in those stories, in those videos that we showed just then, because those people, they really want to see their potential fulfilled. Nawalat really wants to be the best version of herself that she can be. She really wants to pursue her dream and become a nurse. She really wants to commit to her chemistry lessons and to being at school on time and to being able to get back from school in time to be able to support her mum, since her father died, and be able to support her widowed mum with the support for the children, the other children and her siblings in the family. She really wants to fulfill her potential, to be the very best version of herself she can be. And yet one of the most simple and kind of obvious barriers that stands between her and seeing that life fulfilled is the distance she has to travel every day to get from her home to her school and back again. It's around 10 kilometers each way, and that makes it sort of 20-kilometer round trip, give or take 15 miles a day, every day. And until recently, she was doing that every day on foot, on top of then having to have the energy to do the chores and commit to her studies. You can imagine how, after a 15-mile walk every single day in the heat of a Ugandan summer, she could lose faith and could lose hope and could lose her passion to commit to her best future. And sadly, we met lots of people for whom that was true as well. They'd already felt like they really wanted to be able to commit to their schooling, but just couldn't commit to making it happen day in, day out. And so eventually they just dropped out of school, and they get trapped in this cycle of poverty, which is why the subtitle to our campaign this year is, how can we break the cycle of poverty? Join us as we break the cycle of poverty. Yes, it's a pun on the word bike, but it's also an invitation into doing something different, into changing the future for girls like Nawalat. And as we try and break down that existence, that barrier to access, that is the journey that smiling young Nawalat here has to make, we want you to be a part of it. We want you to join in with us. We've been very lucky to work with an amazing and talented local partner in Uganda, an organisation called Fabio, which stands for the First African Bicycle Information Organisation, or Fabio. And they are just brilliant and have come up with this idea themselves, this idea for tackling this issue that communities face. And you know, part of me would love to be able to say to you all, it was our idea, and we came up with this brilliant idea for how we might solve poverty for young families, young people and families in rural Uganda. But we can't make that claim. I'm much prouder to be able to say to you, no, it's Fabio's idea. It's a local idea. Local people have come up with the solution to this problem, to this challenge of distance, a sustainable, climate-friendly, healthy solution. And all we have to do, all you and I have to do, all our churches have to do, all this whole community and movement of All We Can has to do, is help to promote that solution, help to share Nawalat's story and the stories of others in her community, and by doing so, to raise some valuable funds to enable them to continue to do that work, to reach more families, to help less children drop out of school, and to break the cycle of poverty for a whole community there in Butagaya, a whole country there in Uganda, and a whole world going through similar challenges of poverty and injustice. So thank you. Thanks for tuning in today, whether you're watching us live or whether you're catching up with this later on. Thank you. And thank you for helping to support our Change Begins with a Bicycle campaign. As they would say in Butagaya, Webale. webale ino. Thank you. Thank you very much. Want to now get into a little bit more of the practicalities of how you might do that. And I'm really pleased to hand over to Matt again. And Matt's going to share with us a little bit about the what's available, kind of what some of the resources are that people could use. So Matt, talk us through what people might be able to access and find this harvest.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Thanks for giving us a good oversight as well to the community in Uganda that we're looking to serve alongside, and to partner with Fabio as well. And so all we can as ever, we want to try to be a resource. That's what we've always seen the church's team at All We Can as, is kind of the resourcing arm of All We Can to the local church, to you, wherever you find yourself in. And this year is no different. And so I'm going to very quickly give you a little whistle-stop tour of some of the resources, and actually give you a little bit more information on them if I can. So I'm going to share my screen, and so that you actually can see some of the details that you need to be able to access the resources. So, but in regards to what, I'm just going to quickly share that now with you. Bear with me as it loads up. So, what we want to encourage you to do, and if you've done this already, fantastic. If you haven't, you've still got time to do that. And it's head on over to the webpage, which is allwecan.org.uk/cycle, because there you're going to find this lovely little page here. And you got a bit more of a description of basically outlining kind of what Tim's already mentioned in regards to the focus of the community in Uganda. And you've got two options, very simple this year. You can order your resources by post still. If you click on that, and I'll do that in just a few moments time, you'll see the form and the resources you can order. So if you click on that button there, it will take you to another web page, which is order your harvest resources. Actually, these resources could be used beyond harvest as well this year. So I encourage you to think, maybe you've already planned your harvest service. Maybe you've actually already had a harvest service. I don't know. But you can also still use these resources at a later date. In the resources that you can order to come to your doorstep, you can have a USB stick sent to you containing worship materials, prayers, school resources. Everything's loaded onto the memory stick already. You've also got given envelopes, an A4 poster, information if you want to become a partner church, but you can also state as you go down here what you would like in your pack. So maybe you say, actually, I would love 5 posters because we've got a big building that we're beginning to open up. Can I have 5? Well, you can do that. Maybe you think, actually, I don't really need any. I would like 200 envelopes, whatever it might be. You can make that in your order, so you can make it bespoke. One thing I would say to you is, actually, we're saying please allow 14 days. So depending on what you're doing, do get them as soon as possible. Get them today. Don't delay, as I say, because that way you better get the resources to your door as well. The other button was a download button, as you'll see here. It says download your resources now. Now, if you click on that button, it'll take you to a very similar looking web page. All you do is put in your details there, and it will take you to this lovely page here. And so this download page has everything you need to run your very own in-person service, but also you're doing it virtually, or you're going to do kind of a hybrid, as they say, as well. If you click on this big button here, you'll get all these order of services. You'll get everything you need in a folder that you can download, and you can basically print off the order of service as you wish, and it's all there for you. You've also got all the different films. You just seen the main harvest film already today, but you've also got a bit more about Now That story and Moses' story. And you see this year we've done something a little bit different. We've done even more content for everyone. So if you're watching on replay or live, you get an idea that you've got a call to worship activities, you've got your readings even done for you, and then you've got a selection of talks as well this year. You've got an all-age talk done by myself. If you want a nice deep theological experience, then over to Tim Baker for that. I mean, the amazing Joanne Cox-Darling and also Mary have also done messages and sermons for us for this year as well. So that's kind of give you an idea of all the different resources that we have available to you. So you get them in person, but also you can download them as well. You're already finding us here on the Church's Team's YouTube channel, and this is maybe your first time seeing our YouTube channel. Well, welcome to it, and I encourage you to hit the little subscribe button, and you'll be notified via YouTube, not via any other means, when a new video lands. So when you go on your YouTube page, you have a little notification on your YouTube, just like you would do on Facebook. It'll tell you that we've put a new video up. We post content nearly every single week on this YouTube channel from the Church's Team, services, and maybe you want to take part in one of the services that we are doing. Well, you can do that. You'll see a number of different services that me and Tim have done for Harvest in different locations. You also will see a nice little Harvest service that Tim's just done for a church in Barnard Castle. So do check that out as well. Lovely service for you to engage with as well. So that's my whistle-stop tour for all of you watching today of all the different resources that we have available to you to use for this harvest season. Just want to encourage you to think about how you might begin to use them as well. But I'm really delighted that we're going to hand back over to Tim, who's going to kind of introduce us to a very special friend of all we can's, Ali Johnson, who's going to give us a few tips and tricks, I believe, isn't it? Isn't that right, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. I think that's really helpful, and hopefully it's helpful for you all tuning in at home, that just to have a little look at what's available and what's out there. And so, Matt, just to remind people, it's /cycle. Is that right?
Yeah. /cycle.
And then you can either download or order. Order could take up to 2 weeks. So if you need to do it fast, then I suggest you go download. And even if that's not something you would normally choose to do, then you've got the option of everything being available instantaneously if you take that option. And this year, just to say, things like the poster we've just produced an A4 version, so that even if you wanted to put the poster up in your church tomorrow, you could download it and print it at home, providing your printer is working at the moment. Mine seems to have packed up overnight, but they do that, don't they? So thanks, Matt. That's really helpful. And a big part of what Matt shared with us is this kind of recognition that we are in a digital age, and our church is more online than ever before. But I think we've got to kind of find ways through that, and we've got to find ways of blending our online presence with our in-person worship. And we felt as an All We Can team that there was nobody better than Ali Johnson to just offer us 10 minutes worth of reflections on how we can keep doing that. We've not always perhaps got it right. Or we can have not always got it right in trying to make our online stuff work. And perhaps you've got stories from your own churches of things that have gone wrong, internet connections that have dropped out, people who've not realized they were on screen when they were, but we're still trying to find ways to get better. And I think that's what Ali really focuses on in these next few minutes, is this real just encouragement to say, wherever you're at, whatever level your stream is at, whether you've got 400 people tuning in on a Sunday morning, or whether it's you and the dog going live to YouTube, you could, this is your chance to kind of just take it to the next level. So what's the next best thing you could do to help your online church experience be more accessible for others, be a better missional tool to help reach other people? As Matt's saying there, yes, he's had a gazebo fly away during one live broadcast, which was particularly entertaining. At least the gazebo didn't blow into the live fire, which was also present in that same broadcast. It could have been worse. Here's Ali, and I hope this is helpful.
Hi guys, my name's Ali Johnson. Great to be with you to share some tips and tricks. I'm really excited. Thanks, Tim, for asking me. So yeah, I'm a digital evangelist, which is a great job title, but essentially I work between Cliff College and the Evangelism and Growth team. I oversee digital projects, digital training, loads of that kind of thing. And I'm here today to share a few ideas about tips and tricks for online worship. Wow, it's the first thing to say. Hasn't the world changed since sort of February, March time? we're now all probably pretty au fait with Zoom and with Teams and with Google Meet and with Facebook Live and YouTube and all the different platforms that you guys have been using. First thing I want to say, and I say this every time I do any training, and I have since the beginning of March, what an amazing response the church has shown. I now log on a Sunday morning to watch my church, and I see countless number of churches who are trying things out, who are testing, who are inventing. That is what I love to see. I'm so proud of the church and the way we've responded to COVID. We've respected the need not to meet. We've been creative in our response. We've desired the best for our opportunity. We've tried to skill up, and also we've tried to figure out how to bring Jesus online. I'm so grateful that the church has done that. So thank you if you're a part of that. Thank you. And please do say thank you to those people who have enabled you to do online worship, have enabled you to engage with God during this time of COVID. I want to offer 10 really simple things that I think are key to doing online worship well. The first thing is consolidate. The danger with online worship is to try and do everything that you do online, particularly in that hybrid phase we're about to go into. The danger is to try and do everything that you do offline, online. I think it's a real mistake. I think what works really well online is shorter, snappier pieces of content, really thoughtful, engaging words that maybe last for 5 to 10 minutes rather than the normal 20 minutes we see in church. 1 or 2 really well done worship songs that are thoughtful and creative. And so maybe some creative content in and around that you can put together. So really fun content also works. So consolidate your content down into a much more bite-sized, thoughtful fashion. That's number 1, consolidate. Number 2, adapt. One of the things I love, I'm a real big Disney fan. Disney Plus. Have you all heard the one of the conspiracy theories that Disney invented COVID because of the release of Disney Plus? I'm a big Disney Plus fan. We're a big Disney household, and that, just to clarify, that conspiracy theory isn't true, or at least not my knowledge is not true. But one of the rules of Disney, he calls his ultimate rule, is something called plussing. And plussing is the rule that anybody who works in Disney, particularly in their Imagineering field, is they are always looking to make things better. One of the things that's been beautiful about the church is that we've adapted to the things that we've done. One of the things I also want to challenge is continue to look to adapt. Adapt, be aware of how the times are changing, the technology is changing, the platforms are changing, and be ready to adapt. The third thing is get closer to the camera. The more engaging content is the content where you can see people's faces, where you can see people engaged, where you're looking at the camera directive. The best online worship content is where people can see the whites of your eyes in their home, where they feel like they're with you, engaged, not miles away, stuck at the back of a church as a second thought, but instead deeply engaged in your life, in your church, and in your witness online. The fourth is, one of the amazing bits of research, one of the amazing statistics that we see online is that most people switch off after the first 4 or 5 seconds of joining online worship, particularly see on Facebook and YouTube. So remember always that we need to draw people in, that we need snappy, sharp with the content. At the beginning of your worship, there needs to be a really quick explanation of why you're here. Get people excited and engaged. Use the comment section and the bit where you type, depending on what platform you're on. Use that as a way to engage people in online worship. The other thing is, think beyond the live stream. We need to think how to build, if you're going to build online worship, how to build a really engaging, wider platform. So yes, your Sunday morning worship is key to engage in a church, but also think about how you could do WhatsApp home groups, how you could do youth work online, how you could do children's resources. Think wider than just the base online worship and think of ways that you could deeply engage people. The sixth is dream big. Maybe it's time for us to think about different ways of doing church, about different ways of engaging our communities online. We need to think about different ways of doing evangelism online. One of the things I'm super impressed with is the church has gone online really well. But one of my concerns is that we've just engaged the people who are already engaged with church. That there are loads of people out there that during this period have been searching deeply for faith, searching deeply for ways that they can engage. One of the things we can really do is we can think about how we can engage those that aren't of faith, how we can create bits of content that engage that don't know Jesus yet, that care about social justice, that care about their communities, that care about their children's futures. Maybe it's time that we as a church stepped out to engage those people online. The seventh thing I want to say is, as we go into the hybrid phase, I was part of a team that put conference on, that put festival at home on. One of the things that I was really aware was we were under the microscope because people were watching how we did things. Actually, when we take our church online in the hybrid phase, we need to be really aware that we will constantly be under the microscope, that we need to be really aware of how we do social distancing, of how the camera shows a wider shot so we can see what people are on the platform and how they're spaced out. So we can be really clear that we are following the government guidelines and all the things that we need to be doing. Make sure that you are really clear about the guidelines, really clear about how you are dealing with all the different bits, and be really obvious about how you explain those things as you go. The eighth thing I want to say is make sure you're connected with the whole family. Remember that if you've got families in your church, the most likely their kids will be watching a live stream or engaged in the home groups. Make sure that you've got content that is available, or maybe resources or things that you can encourage the kids to do as your adults are engaging in worship. The ninth is make sure your website, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever platforms your church is using, make sure they're updated. Because generally what young people will do, or any age people who are online savvy, they might be watching your church on YouTube, on the TV, and they'll go on your phone, or they'll go on the phone and they'll Google it, and they'll check out what's going on, or they'll want to engage deeper. Make sure that you've got a bigger platform than just the thing you're doing on a Sunday morning. Keep your website updated. Websites are a really important place people go to, a hub of information. The 10th thing is, let's create worship that is always ready for our online guests. Always be prepared that someone may be watching that doesn't know Jesus yet. So we need to be careful about the language, we need to be careful about in jokes, we need to be careful about the way we speak in our worship. I'm going to run through those one more time. The first is consolidate. The second is adapt. The third is get close to the camera. The fourth is hook viewers in from the beginning. The fifth is think beyond the live stream. The sixth is dream big. The seventh is always be prepared to show how you're meeting the guidelines. Eighth is connect with the whole family. 9 is keep things updated, social media and your website updated. The 10th, the final one, is be ready always for new people. And the final thing I want to suggest is prayer. I still really fundamentally believe that prayer is one of the most important things we do as a community of faith. Be really prepared as you do the worship, be prepared to pray for those people that are watching your content. As I prayed for you before I started this video, so should you be praying for the people that are watching this content. And finally, I want to end with Disney all over again. I am so proud of what you're doing, but let's continue to try and improve and grow. Disney said plussing was his ultimate golden rule. Making things better was his ultimate golden rule. Let's continue to aspire to improve and grow and change and pray as we do it. Thank you for watching and pray for you all.
Thank you. That was Ali Johnson, the digital evangelist at Cliff College, just sharing his tips and tricks for how we can all just do one thing better with our online worship. And that video is available separately as a video on this YouTube channel. If you were tuned in earlier before that, Matt was talking about this, our Churches Team YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to and encourage others in your church and community to do so, to access some of the great worship stuff that is being made available here. Part of that is that little 10-minute video, because it might well be that those of you tuning in now are not that much to do with your online worship from your church. It may be that you are, and I would say that all of us have some sort of role in that. If our church is going to do things online, even if it's just that you sometimes do a reading, it's just kind of being aware of, okay, well, where do I need to stand in relation to the camera, and how do I address the people at home? But yeah, do just encourage you to share that little 10-minute video with others who might be more involved and might find more helpful information there. Thank you, Tim, for the encouragement. That's Tim and Angela joining us from Chester. Thank you. We'll pass that on to Ali as well. And thank you earlier on it was good to hear from Patrick talking a little bit about the way in which we do development, and Patrick talking about his own encounters in Africa, reinforcing that encouragement to break the cycle of poverty. People want to break out of it, as Patrick's saying, but just needs kind of a little bit of help to get over the obstacle that is that we have built a world in which we have so much of the resources here in the West, and the injection of a few pounds can make a big difference. And that's a big part of our work this year, and our encouragement to you all this year is that we are looking for people to make a small regular donation to help make that work possible, a monthly donation, and encouraging you to encourage others in your churches to do that as well. So I hope that's been helpful, just to kind of journey with Ali a little bit, and please be assured, as Ali was then, that Matt and I have been praying for you all as well. We weren't sure exactly who would tune in today, and we're not sure who might watch it back later, but we've been praying for you, and we'll continue to do so as you make use of these harvest resources. At which point it's time to bring Matt back into the conversation. Just break into your prayer. I'm sure you were praying for the people as I interrupted you, but
right.
good to have you back again, Matt. I just wondered if you could perhaps talk us through a little bit about how people might make use of theirs in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, certainly. I think for us, it's all about what we wanted to do is give people the opportunity to be able to just have a little bit of space and time to think about what's the next step. Because that's always the thing when we go to events, we go to gatherings, or we're challenged, isn't it? That often life is, we roll into the next thing, the next email, the next phone conversation, the next action point we have to do in our day, whatever it might be. And that's perfectly normal in what we now call life, isn't it? But we still have some time within this session, and we're coming to the end of it now. But we want to give you just a little bit of space. So say for example, you're watching this on replay, you can always pause the video, of course you can. But obviously, those of you watching live, we want to just give you maybe a minute or two just to think about what's that next step, maybe writing down what you're going to do with what you've listened to today and what you've heard about today. Maybe you're going to write down the question of, oh, I need to send Matt and Tim an email. That's absolutely fine. That might be your next action point, and we'll put up our email addresses in just a few moments' time. Maybe you want to send it to your minister. Maybe you are the superintendent. Maybe you are the minister. So maybe you want to then start planning it for yourself. So what we'll do, just give you just this moment now whilst I'm talking, just to maybe think about what is that next step. Maybe you want to write it in the comments. You can do that, of course. But this is the opportunity just to have a moment now just to think about what you're going to do as a result of listening and hearing about this very exciting new focus for our year here as the All We Can movement. So just going to give you that opportunity now. And as we do that, we want to then just leave you with one final video, which is going to share a little bit more about the work of Fabio as well. So we'll give you that moment, and then we're going to watch and listen to a little bit more from Fabio, from the people themselves, of who are the amazing, inspiring organization that they are. And so we're going to have now an opportunity to listen and to share and to watch a little bit more about the work of Fabio. So let's hear from people themselves over in Uganda.
Fabio is an organization that promotes access to socio-economic services. We want to see everyone attending school. We want to see everyone being able to take their produce to the market. We want to see everyone attended to at a healthcare center. Whatever we do rotates around a bicycle. It is simple to use. It does not incur a lot of costs, and it is something that everyone can easily learn.
People were looking at a bicycle as an ordinary tool of transport. But as Fabio, we look at a bicycle as a tool of transformation. And this is where we come in with our programs like Cycle to School.
The idea behind Cycle to School was, how do we keep children in school, especially the girls? One of the challenges is how parents, especially in the rural communities, view their girls. They look at them as a source of income or some kind of property. So when the girl is about the age of 13 and 14, they are given away in exchange of a goat or a cow. And I think this is a problem of mindset, because if this girl is able to go to school and able to earn some money, this family will be better off than getting just a goat or a cow.
The other challenges are the students moving long distances and they are not able to access school in time. There are high rates of school dropouts, and this is why in Naples community you see so many young mothers, because they got overwhelmed by the distance. They got tired, and after dropping out of school, they got pregnant, they gave birth, and their own children also are giving birth when they are young. So that is like a vicious cycle. This is why we feel if we bring in programs that can change the community, we can empower them and we can put an end to this kind of vulnerability.
We are happy that we've benefited a lot of people. We have families that have used this project and they have children that have graduated from university. We have families that are happy that the students that benefited from this project are able to actually take care of their young brothers, their young sisters. So this is the whole idea behind Cycle to School.
So as Fabio, we said, when we give this student a bike, they will use the same bike at home to do the house chores and these other tasks like fetching water, going to the garden, helping out their parents. And they are able to use one bicycle as a tool to transform the entire family. So this is why we treasure bicycles so much.
When you understand the dynamics within the community, when you understand the needs, you're able to innovate. That is the core of Fabio. From planning, from execution, from implementation, from monitoring, we need to include every stakeholder through the entire process. I'm very happy to work with all we can, because sometimes what fails partnership is when you don't feel open with each other, you can't communicate with each other. All we can has allowed us to be flexible in our planning. We are not told what to do, rather we discuss and we agree on what to do. That is one of the most important things. We learn together, we change together, we improve together, and for us that is very important.
So as Jiva said, we learn together, we change together, and we're going to improve together. All we can as a movement have continued to seek a better world, seek a world that is got a heart for justice. As a movement here at All We Can, that's what we want to continue to do every single day of our existence as we continue to strive forward together. And just want to say a massive thank you for joining us here as a part of this Change Bringers session. As I said, we were praying for you watching live, also if you're watching on replay as well. Do be encouraged to head on over to those resource page on the bottom of the screen, allwecan.org/cycle to get your resources and use them as much as you possibly can in this next year. There'll be obviously new resources down the line, other things that will be helping to resource you in your churches as well. But also just want to encourage you that actually, not just for you, but also for the communities that you're speaking to about this very exciting campaign, that actually for as little as £6 a month, we can help break the cycle of poverty. We can help transform someone else's life, just like Nawalat. £6 a month. You know, often I would say, I'm reminded, even still, I'm guilty of it at times when I go to the supermarket and pick up things that I really don't need, that often amount to, over a course of a month, over £6. And so actually, you know, what can we do with £6? We can help break the cycle of poverty. So be encouraged in that journey as well. And if you want to find out more, you can head on over to allwecan.org.uk/bike, and you'll find out all the different information you need today as well. But thank you so much for joining us here as a part of this Change Bringer session. Thank you to Tim for being a part of, for leading us in this amazing session. Thank you to the current president, Richard Teal, and also Carolyn Lawrence, vice president as well. Thank you to them for their contributions. Thank you also to Ali Johnson for contributing. And thank you for joining us here live over on the All We Can Churches Team YouTube channel. I hope it's been beneficial. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us in this last hour. Be sure to be in contact with us if you want to learn more, have us be a part of your services. But thank you so much for joining us. I've been Matt Forsyth. Tim's been a part of us as well here at the Churches Team at All We Can. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you very soon. Take care and God bless.